All right, let's see if we can get this thing going here. Turn the volume down. All right. I could go a little bit higher. I was trying to figure out, let me see. I cannot deny this menu is probably going to be the death of this device. Because it will test your patience. What are you doing, little dog? Come on. You take with the sound. No. She's gonna come back in, I already know. All right, let's see if we can increase this so it gets a little bit closer. Sorry about this. Maybe I should use the speaker for this portion of this. Jeez Louise. Let me turn that thing down. So, I wanted to be able to show you guys the screen, which I may do. I may switch this up so you can see the screen. Give me 1 second. What are you doing? Go out there. Go out there. I gotta get the dog out of here, otherwise she'll keep coming in and out, checking on me. All right, let's see if we can turn this camera. I'm gonna let you guys see the screen. There we go. I'll just tighten it up here for anybody that's watching. Okay. So this manual is confusing, and this is for the P6. So here is the display. Look at this, K dash plus percentage. Now, what in the world does that have to do with anything that's on the screen? I'm going to show you the screen in a second. So to get into the menu, you press this, Shift and the octave to get into the menu. And then it's supposed to come up with this. You see this one like it look like a upside down sad face or something, is your volume. Okay, so now I'm going to show you. This is funny. Watch this. Okay, so first of all, it's not even at the beginning. Okay, so let's do this. Can you see that? Okay, that's volume. That makes sense, right? It looks kind of like a U, but it's, oh well, that's volume. What is this? Okay, so let's look at transpose. That's the one that says trans, so that one is fine. That makes sense on here. You could kind of figure it out, but obviously this symbol does not represent what it really does or it looks like on the display. So if they could rewrite the manual, it'd be nice if they just put TRAN or something like that so we know what that is, because this is not right. It doesn't match what's actually on the screen and it's confusing. It gets worse, don't worry. Pattern scale. So that has to do with the length of the single steps, right? So 8th note, 16th note, etc. On paper, it makes sense, but when you look at it in here, now how in the world am I supposed to know P.SCL is pattern scale? I mean, I can guess. So this is challenging. And I think they should rewrite this book, at least try to make it look identical to what it displays. If any of you have this, feel free to comment on how you managed to get through this, because I'll be honest, it's a struggle. Like, at least I can say this with the SP404, because the screen is so much better, you can see what the words say. So you understand what it is. There's no hidden secret. It's just learning some combinations of buttons. The combinations don't bother me so bad as far as that, because the SP has had it and so I'm used to that. But these display settings, I can't quickly go in and change on something on the menu when I don't really know what I'm even looking at. P9NT, That's what quantized timing is. So I guess it's like a perimeter quantize. I don't know. It's confusing. And then it sets the timing for the quantization, meaning whether to align the note with the current step. Is that the same thing as, oh, so quantize, I guess before and after. The verbiage is so different. That's the challenging part. I'm showing you guys this for a reason too, by the way, just so that if you decide to get it, you better have your mind prepared that you're going to be learning some new language stuff, symbols that I don't know what that represents, but on the screen is totally opposite of what it says there. So there is this one, which is, hold on, there's perimeter, play quantize. I'm going to go back. Okay, so there's scale, there's quantize, and then the quantized timing just says this 9 n t, or it looks like a, yeah, that's what it looks like, 9 to me, which is technically they're saying that's quantized. That's supposed to be a q, I guess. Yeah. Okay, stop behavior just says stop. That one makes the most sense. Stop behavior says stop. Um, other sample does not stop. So for every one, just so you know, when you're in shift menu, you exit and enter here, and it's right kind of, you can see it kind of below there. So exit, enter. That's how it works, in case you were wondering. Sync clock. So the stop, I'm gonna go keep pushing. Scale SCLY SCH. SCH must be, hold on. Okay, stop. SCLY must be sync clock. Sync clock. SCH is sampler MIDI channel. GCH is granular MIDI channel, I guess. ACH, automatic check draft. I mean, automatic check. No, I'm just kidding. Automatic channel, MIDI channel. Okay. Some of the stuff I probably will never use. I don't see what I would use it for. I mean, personally, I have zero interest probably in using it. Then there's sync, which is the MIDI clock. So instead of it saying MIDI clock sync, now it just says sync. I think that's why it's so hard. There's no rhyme or reason to why this looks this way. So I should be showing y'all how to play this thing, but I'm just showing you how hard it is to figure out even some of the simplest things. So then this is all the menu stuff, right? So it's MIDI through, TX program change. I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on this. RX program change. Sets whether the pattern. So I'll tell you what I've been looking for. I figured out that there is a velocity curve in here. I'm not worried about the velocity curve nearly as much, though that could be important as far as your drumming. If you're going to try to drum on these pads, just remember that the velocity is not there. It's no velocity sensitivity unless you plug something into it and then use the velocity portion of it. You would have to use the velocity from that keyboard or whatever you plug into it, and then you could get all those different ranges. So just be mindful of that. If you get it, it's just what it is. Um, I think the better thing with this is just samples. Like in my personal opinion, it's better for samples. Just bringing samples in and using those samples within it to create patterns. Okay, so velocity curve, we already talked about that. U crew is, what in the heck is that? Okay, go back to sync. MIDI clock sync, MIDI through. THPC is the TX program. RHP is that. Program change is literally PCCH. Key velocity is just velocity. Velocity curve. Okay, so this is velocity curve. It looks like a U, but it's UCRU. Okay, yeah. Then there's tune, which is the master tuning, which I would probably never change just because that's not happening. That's too much to do. I mean, I guess if you really need that. Then there is external in bus select. Signals are output to bus A, signals are output to bus B. Sets the output, use the signals that are input, then a mic, headset. Okay, yeah, I'm not messing with that. USB bus select. What's up, Mr. Spacely? How's it going? USB in gain. Let me read your comment first. Up late, I appreciate your hard work, man. You're always informative, good content, my brother. Yeah, appreciate you too. I'm trying to, I want to give you always what the real is of what this is, because that's exactly what you're gonna want to know when you get it. So you're not be like, oh my gosh, you don't have to, or if you decide to get it, you don't have to be stressed out about it. Um, Output direct, USB direct. Okay, so max output gain is like out G, and then USB direct out sets the volume of the signal output to the USB port. So this could be good if you need to adjust the output of that in the US from the USB port going direct out. I guess you could, there could be some validity or some value to that. The ARIA link, I guess if you're linking other devices to it, you can link it with this when using another port of the USB host MX. Okay, cool. All right, so here's probably one that you use the most that you need to know is the count in. And the count in looks like CNT1, like that. So that one's important because you want to set your count in. It's weird how they got it though. It only goes like 2, 4. It's like count in 1 and then count in 2, 4, 2, 3, or 4. So I just set mine to 4, which is basically 4 measures. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts recording. The only time you need that is if you're not gonna use the sequencer right here, then you would need to be able to do the count in. But I like it just to be on. You might as well. I turn the metronome on when recording, not on playback. You can put it on record and playback if you want it, and then you can set the metronome level. So these three here are really important to know. The dimmer has to do with the lights on the back that illuminate from like shift and pattern, and they're okay. I'm not worried about you. If you keep them where they are, then you don't have to worry about them running up the battery if you don't leave them set so high. But I'm not going to worry about that. Some of this other stuff, reload pattern, granular, I'm not going to even talk about it. Initialize systems. If you really get that far and want to do that much, then yeah, enjoy that. Okay, so let's get out of here and talk about this thing. We're going to exit out. So you just hit exit twice to get out. All right, where are we? So you can use all 4 of the bank, all 8 of the banks, obviously on, I'm gonna get rid of this. And in the program, if you watch my previous video, the program editor where you can put samples in, they have a 0 snap on there. So you can do that when you're setting the sample up and adjusting it. But if you're doing it here, I don't know, and I don't see anything in the instructions that show there's a 0 snap option, unless it's automatically triggered. So it could be automatically triggered, or maybe when you go into the, I tried to find that in here. I couldn't find it either in the settings. I know it's in the actual app, but I just don't see it in any of these settings here. So it's a bit confusing, just so you know. These are some other things that you can look at, the envelope mode. Yeah, you know what, Mr. Spacey, you got good points. And again, just because you see me using it on here doesn't mean I'm going to keep it. I'm just showing it to you as an option. It is very much, if you have an MPC, you like the workflow, you're going to gravitate toward the MPC workflow just because it's so much easier. You can be more precise with it, whereas you don't have a screen to look at the waveform on here. You just kind of using it by ear, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes I've had some trouble so far, even to where like I tried to load a sample and it wouldn't take the sample, and I was recording the sample in. I wasn't even loading a sample. I was just recording something in, and it wouldn't take it. I had to do like 3, 4 times. So there's little things like that that if you're patient enough to do it, this will be fine for you. But again, if you're not patient and you don't have a and you don't like a high learning curve, don't get this device. And I'm very familiar with the SP and learned it, and yeah, and koala. But you had it sometime. Can you compare it to koala? Oh no, I've only had this today. I just got this today. I've just been learning it. That's why I'm showing you all this stuff because I'm in the process of learning it too. So I haven't had it that long, but I have had koala for a long time, and koala is so much easier. I mean, you have a visual. So anytime you have a visual in front of you, it's going to be way easier. One of the things I don't like too is when you go into the editor on here to input the samples, you can't see the samples that are already there. Like in the SP, you can see the samples that are already there. For some reason, it does not show you the samples that are already there. So it's so weird. And then you got to do a whole bunch of turn off the machine, turn it back on, turn it off. I'm wondering if that button's going to get destroyed, all that off and on that it keeps doing. But yeah, no, I haven't had this that long. And I can tell you now that the one thing that I appreciate and do like about it is the sound. I love the way the sound is. The only problem I have is that you can't run sound through it into like another device. You have to sample in and with that sound and then send that sound somewhere else. That makes sense? In other words, to get the coolest thing, the thing I really wanted the most about it beyond anything else was the sample rate, which I love, right? Being able to adjust the sample rates. Um, the granular thing, I've tried it like a second, but I wasn't impressed with it at all. The little bit I tried, I'm just being honest, it wasn't, I was like, it's okay. Now you can play with it, you can probably get it to where you want it, but if you're looking for a real granulator, this ain't it. There's stuff on iOS you can use that will do way better as far as granular, and it's a lot less complex here than what this is. You see, I'm looking here at this grain stuff, the spread right here. Here's the knob, tells you what it adjusts, the grain shape. But you see, this book is wrote weirdly. Yeah, the sound, man, is all these drums are sampled in. Well, these drums are. This drum I pulled from that you're hearing. I sampled in from One Shot off of the iPad, right? But these other drums you hear, they were sampled in at 14 point K, and it sounds really good. If you like the grit, the dirt, right? Oh, I turned on the granular again by mistake. So yeah, you can make some good sounds with it. It's cool. It's really small. I mean, you guys can see I can put it right here. It's really small. Right, that isn't a good comparison. Let me find something that I can show you. Here's this little thing here. It's a little controller. This thing is, I mean, it's really small compared to that. It's like two of these. It's actually less than two of these. So anyway, I was trying to think. Give you some other comparisons if you need to. If you wonder, if you already have one already, then you know what it's like. It's not that big. I mean, here's a little remote control for a TV, right? So yes, so there's a lot of mega learning curve, and you have to be willing to take that on if you want to do this. Um, yeah, if you really want to do it. So there is a lot of cool things in here. There is a lot to the granular. You can see I'm went through 2 pages of it. All this is about right here, the granular stuff, the loop size. So if you really want to learn it, there's, like I said, you can do that. You can deep dive. Here's the sample edit section here, this little section here. Shift in this button, you can change, adjust the voice, fine tune it, you know, change stuff in it if you want that. Where am I? Configure the various settings. So one of the things I wanted to do with this was try it with the SP404. I mean, not the SP404, the MPC, to see how the air lo-fi in there would do, because it has a sample bit reduction. And it sounds okay, but I still think this sounds better. If I'm being blatantly honest, it sounds better than that. It has a warm sound. The sound is really nice. I wish it would let you just pass the sound through. That's the problem I'm having, is they don't let you just pass the sound through, which would be, if I could figure that out, I'd be like, okay, it's worth it just on that basis of sending the sound through. Now you can sit there and put all your sounds in, sample them in lo-fi at the lo-fi rates, but you can't just, when you turn on lo-fi, it's not changing the rate of the actual sample. You have to hold sample and then hit the lo-fi button to change the rate. So let's see if I can, uh-oh, that was bad. So when you turn on sample, you got to mute the mic like I just didn't do right there. Otherwise, it'll hit shift mute and turn the mic off, right? Otherwise, you'll get what I just did. And so here's, while you can pick the sample rate. Oh, wait, you can't see that. I'm just doing it. So you see how it's on, and I can hit this and I can go through the different sample rates. So you have 44, 20, wait, 44, 22, 14.7, and then what's that last one is 11. Okay, so you can do that and sample something in. You cannot, however, I'm going to exit this sample thing. And you can also just make yourself even easier by just putting the samples in. On my previous video, if you watch it, you'll see I just put the samples in and adjust the rate. You can do it that way too. It's just as quick. But the problem is that there's no pass through. So you can't pass through the sound, at least not at this moment that I know of, where you could pass through the sound and get that sample rate. So I really hope they would add it to the MPC, the MPC, to the SP404, just add that feature. If they add that feature to the SP404, then it would be worth having just the SP404 for it. And micro timing, if they add micro timing, which is kind of cool. Hey, Hunter's. Yeah, the sound is what caught your ear. Absolutely. What do you say? I still haven't upgraded to 3.0. That's a lot of change at once. I don't know how long it will take to get it down. Honestly, 3.0 isn't, you're talking about MPC 3.0, it's not really that complicated to me. I don't, or at least I didn't find it that, maybe it's because I'm used to using a DAW, but it really wasn't that complicated. And you still have the old workflow that's there. The only thing you just got to adjust your thinking is that you're not using one device for multiple channels or multiple tracks. You're using, or one program for multiple tracks. You're using just uh, one instrument per track. So it's really not much different other than that. But the sound, yes. So this thing is great at the sound. The unfortunate part is you can't pass the sound through without having to sample. So that kind of bothers me, because that means that you pretty much have to, I wonder too, see, because you have to have this device to be able to use their app. Because I was like, well, if you don't need the device, could you just use the app? But in order to connect it, it needs the app, the thing plugged in to be able to use the features. Otherwise, if they just put that thing out on the app, I'd be like, that's all you need is just the app, and just run your samples through that little sample rate and be done with it. And there's still that possibility. There are other sample rate apps out there. I just don't, well, every time I listen to them, they don't sound as good as the device. Like I tried to do the same sample rate as the PO33 because I love the way it sounds. Can't match it. I can't find a way to match it. Whatever they did, it just sounds that way through that device. Same thing with this little device. It's like it's hard to match that sound. It just is what it is. All right, so let's continue to talk about this a little bit more. I'm not going to keep showing you guys that. I'll show you the device now more because I just wanted you to see that it's ridiculous, like how much you got to know and learn. So we'll go back down to the device itself. Hopefully y'all can see that. Let me see if I can raise this desk a little bit more. Hopefully the light is in here. It's pretty good. So anyway, so these are in at 14, these drums that I put in. I like to put the gate on these for whatever reason. Not on the snares, but on... Take the gate off of that one. Just because it doesn't... There's no way to do like a one shot. I mean, not a one shot, like a cutoff. Lord, I can't even talk today. There's no way to do a choke group that I know of. I haven't seen a choke group on here. So if you start, recording, wait, hold up. Sometimes it weirds me out that it's set on that wrong number. Start at the 1. Oops, messed up. So when you turn the record off, of course, it's going to stop the metronome, but... Another thing that's weird, too, is it doesn't take you through the pages. You got to shift here to go to each page. So there's that page of this sound, right? So it kind of... You gotta keep doing that. And then, so if you're off on one... I kind of wanted this to be just on one bar. I still haven't figured out that. That's a whole nother thing, is to figure out how to get to just do one bar instead of doing 4. Like it's honestly set to 4 bars, and I don't know what I'm doing to get it. So that's been like a stressful thing, having to read this manual so much just to do something which you should be kind of more simple. You got to really do some menu diving here. I still, like I said, I haven't found it yet. I wish there was a way to search for it. There is a shortcut for using the MFX buttons or whatever. In the manual, I highly suggest using that if you want to be able to figure that portion out quicker. There's a shortcut for the pads too that talks about, how you can do it. And then another shortcut for the step buttons. So I guess if you want to learn how to pitch each one, like pitch just a sample. So let's go back to page 1. So you have to shift back to page 1. This is pretty simple and slick how they did this in this little device though. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if you're on this one, let's say you want to pitch this, I think you hold this, and then you can pitch this sample down. So now, so let's pitch it up just so you can see the distinction of what it would sound like pitched up. I'll pitch it up. So I think it's just pitching up that whole sample, right? not just one, which is what I was hoping it was not. I was hoping that it would just do individual notes, but it weird. Now it's doing that kind of stuff. Wonder if that makes a difference. Oh, so maybe it did do just a single note. Interesting. So yeah, it's a learning curve. This is not a video to show you exactly how things are done. I'm learning it myself, but I'm just showing you this is the struggle that you probably will have at first. Is trying to figure out how you're going to read through this manual and get it like locked in place for yourself. Some of you may not have those struggles if you're the type of person where you can just jump on here and do it and you've got it down. That's awesome. That is amazing. I do like the fact that it has cassette sim. That is kind of cool. So if you got the effects here and you can go here, you just wait, did I do that right? Is it that or shift? I thought it was this. Yeah, so you, again, more learning of these type of things. So you got to figure out. So if that's the first one, let me see if I can help you figure out what effect that is. So here, this is the looper. This is the chromatic. No, this is the pitch. This is delay, filter, scatter. Okay. And then there is the isolator that's in there. So this is the isolator. Okay. That's the resonator. This is the stopper. Super filter. Super filter is dope. Let's see. Do I have to hold it down to use the super filter? Let's see. There. Now, let's see if it. It really is like a little miniature SP404 though. Here's your vinyl crackle. Here's your cassette sim. So one of the things I don't enjoy so far is the editing here. Having to go to each page and start it over. Page 3. Page 4. There you go. So that is that. That's looking at the cassette sim. Let's go keep going and see what else is in here. So the lo-fi is kind of a given that you can just, and by the way, all these knobs, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, all these knobs work for this effect. When you're using the MFX portion, or MFX, yeah, MFX, right there, multi effects. All right, so let's keep it going. Reverb, chorus, flanger, phaser. These are some of these are easier to understand than the other stuff. Ring modulator, crusher, compressor. The compressor is supposed to be really good. Let's see. And you got sustain, attack ratio. The compressor is actually really nice for lifting the sounds up to making them sound a little bit louder. So here's my thing. If you have the SP404, this device probably is not needed for you at all, because most of these effects you already have them. So you're not buying it for the effect. The only effect that you might not have in here is the granular effect. And of course you don't have the mic because the SP don't have the mic, but you can always get a mic. But you don't have the granular and you don't have the sample rate. They don't have the sample rate stuff on the SP. If they bring the SP, the granular and the sample rate, I would say this device is only good if you just really just got to have a portable device. I find that it's probably not going to do much use for me because I was hoping that you could pass the audio through it and be able to use it with like Koala or something like that at this current moment, because you can't pass the audio through to, you can't just use the sample rate and pass it through. You have to sample whatever it is into the sampler, and then you can, submit it somewhere else. For me, it's kind of not gonna work. So that's just my take. That's the end of this live video. I know we don't have a lot of people on, and my battery's gonna die at some point anyway. So I want to end it there. But if you missed it and you go back to the beginning, you'll see I was showing you some of the menu stuff for this thing. It's insane, like the amount of the biggest problem that's with me with this menu here is this. What does that mean, right? If I look at it, some of this I will never know what that means. I still can't remember, and I looked at it. I know this is something like velocity curve, but you have to memorize these weird looking letters. It's hard enough that you got a lot of combinations to memorize, but then when you have that, it makes it even harder. So it's a cool looking device. The sound is amazing, but I can't say at this very moment that I'm 100% all on board. But I only had it for less than some hours. So I'm going to give it another day, check it out, see if I can vibe with it. And if I can't, then you know what happens if you can't vibe with something. So hopefully I will get better. The next day will be a little bit better. I know with the SP, it took me 3 times before I really was like enjoying it. Because it was the workflow initially. I had no clue how to use an SP404 when I first got it, and it was still brand new. And then when I got the SP404 again, I was like, I engaged and I knew how to use it better, but I was not like, it was still a lot of stuff that weren't there, like the new stuff, like the looping and being able to, it wasn't there yet. Then so by the third time I got it, I was like, okay, I dig it. But yeah, you just got to figure out if it's for you or not. Again, the only way you're gonna know is try it, because otherwise, that's, don't take my word for it. You might actually get it and enjoy it. All right. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for everyone that chimed in, and I will see you on the next one. I'm out.